Good evening, my trues, clues, guys and dolls, cats and kittens. I hope you're being safe out there, paying attention to life's trues, clues around you, and being safe out there this holiday season. It'll be festive, but it'll also be an appropriate time for perpetrators to take advantage of you in any way they can. So be aware. And with that, I wanted to follow up with part 2 of Snapchatting in Utah. And this goes to a small town. The whole state looks rather eclectic. I think it's like little pockets of small towns. Don't take me for granted on this. I don't know, even though I live right next door to it. I've never been there. Or if I have, I've just passed through it. I have no recollection. From what the research I've done is, it looks like it's a kind of cool place to kick it back. A lot of different pockets, some artistic things going on in pretty small little places. Normal to me for small towns. Where I live in the mountain towns that we have up here, there's little pockets of them as well. And it gets pretty fun. Each little town has its own personality and different things to offer, which is kind of cool. So, to get into this, because, as we all know, the game is afoot. It was a strange sort of triangle in this one. It was short, but amazingly brutal. The victim, Desiree Turner, did survive, opposed to the other stories that I've covered. But the narcissism involved in this case was so freaking deep. Desiree Turner was in a small town with other teenage kids, and there was people that enjoyed getting on the Snapchats, and all their friends could see because of the way Snapchat is set up. And I guess these two had what you call a Snapchat thread going, and were talking to each other. And this narcissistic little boy got tired of Desiree texting him, and his name was... let me see here. Coulter Peterson. And I think maybe Desiree may have had a little crush on him. Apparently the feelings were not returned. Rather than just ending it with her and calling it a day, he started complaining and probably complained to other people and said mean things about her behind her back while being upfront with her and trying to act like he was a friend. I think we used to call that two-faced and backstabbing. I don't know what y'all call it now. He said, I just didn't want anything to do with Snapchatting her anymore. He wrote in a statement after pleading guilty to first-degree aggravated and attempted murder and second-degree felony robbery. But his friend, Jason Decker, said... when they were talking about it, that it would be pretty easy to get rid of her. That's when the two teens decided to go forward with the plan. At first, they had planned to kill her, and the first attempt failed. I guess they were afraid, or they didn't like the way they chose to do the perpetration of the act. A few days later, on February 16th, the teens lured her into this place called the Dry Canal Bed. They planned to stab her to death. They planned to stab her to death and then to rob her. One of the boys allegedly decided to use a .22 caliber he had brought with him. Desiree was shot in the back of the head by the teen with whom she had been sending Snapchat messages to, and that was Coulter Peterson. Jason Decker was the one who came up with the idea of offing her and becoming perpetrators. And he didn't even know Desiree that well. But yet, it was his idea to knock her off. So, they decided to do that. They had been bullying her prior to this. And then they came up with this fantastic idea to pretend that they had a knife to sell her and to meet her in this dry bed canal area. Poor Desiree was innocent and was probably hoping at the least that this whole bullying situation would be put to rest and maybe she would be able to move on without a lot of trauma from these two boys. Little did she know what was going to happen. When she turned to walk away, because they thought it was the best thing for her not to be able to see that they were going to kill her, they shot her in the back of the head. At least Colton did. They were pretty happy about it. They left her body there. She wasn't dead. She spent the night out in the field, and if you can imagine what that could have been like for her, unable to do anything, being alive, being out in the dark. I mean, it had to be so dark out there. It gets so dark up here in the mountains, I can't even imagine what that poor thing went through all that whole night. Later, people were looking for her. They knew that she was missing, of course. She didn't show up back home, and they were out searching for her. After they shot her, there was a conversation that took place. Yeah, man, hold on. They were talking to each other at close range behind her back so she wouldn't know what was going on. Are we clear? I guess the answer must have been yes, because after that she was shot at close range, and then Colton stole her cell phone and iPod from her pocket. Then Colton and Jason then stole $55 from her purse and forcibly removed her backpack from her body. Tossed the backpack in a dumpster in a city park and destroyed her electronics. After spending the night out in this dry canal bed, creek, whatever the hell it was that she was out in the middle of, where nobody was able to really find her right away, 2 women the next day found her by searching for her. She was lying in a ditch, and they wasn't even sure if she was alive or not. But she managed to make it through and was able to go to court and testify against her perpetrators. At which point she said, "I hate you." And Peterson sat at the defense table and wept. "I hate what you did to me. I hate that I trusted you." That's a big deal. She put the trust in the wrong people. "Your life will be confined to a small room, and my life will also be confined." 15 years to life term in the Utah State Prison. Peterson in October pled guilty to aggravated attempted murder, first-degree felony, and second-degree felony robbery. The judge also ordered Peterson to serve a 1 to 15-year term for the robbery count, but he ordered that sentence to run concurrent to the other. He offered an apology to Desiree and her family and said he felt like he had allowed himself to be influenced by others. I would imagine that would be Jason Decker that he's referring to. And as narcissists do, they never accept responsibility for their own actions. It's always somebody else's damn fault. "I want to pay for what I've done," he said, "and I will pay with the rest of my life making up for this, with the hope that one day I will be forgiven." The girl was hospitalized for 9 weeks before returning to her home. As a result of the shooting, Turner suffers from partial blindness, according to her family, as well as paralysis and weakness on her left side. In Smithfield, Utah, after she allegedly was texting and contacting them too often on mobile messaging application Snapchats. Reports say that Turner was, of course, getting bullied, which I said before. They were arrested, and at the hearing, the mother got to speak as well. And she told the judge that Decker, she thought, was more evil than Peterson because it was his idea to kill her daughter, and he hardly knew her, and that no amount of prison time was going to fix him because he was evil, because he had kept the shell as a trophy. How sick is that? I agree. "Good luck in prison," she says, "and remember that because of you, my life is a prison too." Desiree is recovering, and she has an atomic arm, and I guess her medical expenses, you can only imagine, would be quite exorbitant. So if you want to donate to her wellness fund, there's a place on Facebook, and then there's a place on GoFundMe as well for her. She is very deeply involved in the LDS church there in her state and little town, and they do little fundraisers and stuff like that for her. It's really sad. I feel bad for her because I do think that she was really an innocent person taken advantage of by two extremely evil people. And one person, of course, is not even owning up to his evilness. Of course, now that they're caught, they feel sorry and blah, 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 like they all do. But to all the girls out there, if you're Snapchatting, please, please check on the people that you're chatting with or keep your information protected. Don't just trust anybody without them giving a reason to trust you. And, of course, time is the only thing that shows that if a person is worthy of being trusted or not. So with that, pay attention to the truths, clues out there in your real life. Keep yourself safe. If you see something, say something. It takes all of us to be safe in this world. Happy holidays, and I'll see you soon. Oh, and one more thing. Really working hard to keep remembering to say this. If you were interested at all in the video, please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Thank you.